Hey guys, Alessio, hope you're well. Making this video for you from Venice in Italy. Now, in this video I want to address an important question, well, sort of important, but some of you are interested in this, I know, which is, do the stock markets say anything about who might win the presidential election this November? In other words, can we use the stock market to make a prediction as to who might win, whether Harris or Trump, in this presidential election in the US? So I want to discuss this very briefly with you. All right, guys, join me. All right guys, welcome back to the great city of Venice here in Italy. Let's take a quick walk here by the canal and I can talk to you very briefly about my thoughts about the presidential election in the US. Now let me just say two things about this before we start, which is that I don't have any preference for who's going to win the election in the US. My views are, I don't really care. As they say in Italy, non mi frega. I don't really care who wins the election in the US. As a matter of fact, I don't care about any political party, whether in the UK or in the US. I don't like any of the political parties. In fact, I despise both the Democratic Party and also the Republicans in the US.
Let the hate flow through you.
I don't want to go into that. So I want to make it very clear. I do not support any political candidate, whether Harris or Trump, for the elections. My attitude towards both candidates and the elections in the US right now is a bit like this.
He's having trouble.
But it's spicy. What was it?
I don't know, Jenny.
Yeah, pretty much like that. Now, I do have family members in the US who do support one candidate. I have, for example, an uncle in the States who supports Trump. Okay, that's up to him. The second thing I want to say here is this, that I don't actually think necessarily it's a good idea to use the stock market as a predictor for the elections. The only reason I'm making this video about it is because there is a school of thought. There are some people who say that you can use the stock market behavior as a predictor for the elections. But I gotta be honest with you, in my own personal opinion, I don't think there's enough data out there to give substance to the view that you can use the stock market behavior before the election as to make a prediction as to who's going to win. However, there is a school of thought that says if the stock market remains strong and bullish, in other words, if it remains in an uptrend and above its 200 moving average, for example, in other words, this school of thought says as long as the stock market remains in a clear uptrend and bullish about a month before the election in November in the US, this could be a sign that the incumbents may win again. Now, the incumbents at the moment in the White House in America is obviously Biden and Harris. And obviously Harris is running for the Democratic Party. They're the incumbents. So this means that if the stock market remains strong going into November, this could be a positive sign that indeed Harris, the incumbents, in other words, Democrats, may win in the elections. Okay. Conversely, however, this school of thought says that if the stock market enters a bear market, a downtrend, or indeed some kind of a negative reversal about a month before the elections, this could be a very negative sign for the incumbents. In other words, usually when the stock market falls into trouble, when it starts moving into a downtrend, about a month or so before the elections in November in the US, this may be a sign the incumbent party may lose and the opposing party may win, which in this case would mean that Harris would lose and Trump would win. So guys, if you follow this theory and if you subscribe to this particular school of thought that says you can use the stock market as a predictor for the elections, well, in that case, that means because right now, as I'm making this video, we're in October, and that means because the stock markets have remained strong and in a nice uptrend, we're above the 200 moving average, we're making higher highs and higher lows that we can see here. We're not in a downtrend, we haven't broken below support. So if we follow this particular principle or the school of thought, this would suggest that the incumbents, in other words, the Democratic Party or Harris, has a good chance of winning the election in November, okay? Based on the fact that the stock market is often a sign of sentiment. In other words, the stock market behavior at the moment is possibly a bad sign, a negative sign for Trump and the Republicans. By the way, in case you're wondering, the rationale for this view is that stock markets are indicative of sentiment, in other words, social mood in the country. So this view would say that because the stock markets are in an uptrend and looking bullish and positive, that the sentiment or social mood among voters in America is potentially positive, and this favors the incumbents. Okay, so usually when the sentiment or social mood is negative, when people are unhappy about the state of the stock markets, that could bode badly for the incumbents. There's a theory that says people often vote with their pockets. So again, when the social mood is negative, that means that there's a chance that voters may switch from one party to the next. In other words, the incumbents may lose and the opposing party may win. In any case, the bottom line is, guys, if you subscribe to this school of thought that says you can use the stock market as a predictor for the elections, which I have to tell you, I don't subscribe or accept this particular view myself. I don't think you can use reliably the stock market as a predictor for the elections, but there are some who think you can. So if you're one of those people, then that means you could say, based on the action in the stock market, the bullish and positive action we're seeing in the stock market, that's a sign that the incumbents, in other words, Harris with the Democrats, may potentially win the election in November. Hey guys, Alessio from the future here. Just want to interrupt this video to point out something interesting. Recently, I did a poll on my YouTube channel and I asked all our subscribers, I asked you guys what you think. So I asked you guys whether you think it's going to be Donald Trump or Kamala Harris who's going to win the election. And interestingly, the result, as you can see here, 58% of those who voted said that Donald Trump was going to win the presidential election, but only 15%, as you can see here, only 15% of those who voted said that Kamala Harris was going to win the election. By the way, I did the exact same poll on Twitter, on X, and we got a very similar result, as you can see here. Now, if you followed what I've said in this video so far, that means if we accept the theory, the school of thought that says you can use the stock market or the economy as a predictor for the election, that means that 58% of people who voted, who think that Donald Trump is going to win the election, are probably going to be disappointed. And it seems the markets seem to be indicating that Kamala Harris might actually be the winner this year. But let me know what you think in the comment section. What are your views? Who do you think is going to win? Do you agree with the school of thought that says you can use the stock market as a predictor for the election? Let me know. All right, guys, so from here in Venice, thanks very much indeed. See you guys soon. Cheers.